The Orlando Magic escape the Brooklyn Nets. They survive and win, but that's not enough anymore. The Magic failed to reach the standard today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is November 15th, 2025. My name is Philip Rossman-Ike. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com, credentialed member of the Orlando Magic media since the 2012 season. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, the Orlando Magic survive, and that's important to be able to win games when you don't have your best. That's not a bad thing. How the Magic found a way to get the win over the Brooklyn Nets, and why that is no longer enough. The standard the Magic are setting, and why they're still frustrated coming off of a win. That's a good thing. Trust me. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. First, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, no matter when you listen to us, whether it's first in the morning, whether it's right when we upload. We truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. You can make Locked On Magic even bigger part of your day by being one of our everydayers, our Orlando Magic dailies. That means you listen Monday through Friday, 5 days a week we post. That means you listen to our post-game recaps after games. That means you are making us part of your daily rotation and your first listen of the day. It's all part of Locked On Podcast Network now, the #1 sports podcast network out there. Thank you all for your support. It's the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. Let's be clear, because we're going to dive into some issues today. But let's be clear. Winning is always good. If the Magic had lost this game, we'd be having very different conversations. We'd be having a very different vibe, a very different mood. Everything would be different. And so let's be abundantly clear. Winning is good. If you're going to stink, if you're going to struggle, if you're going to be bad, find a way to win. And let's be clear about this too. The Magic were not good Friday night against the Brooklyn Nets. I've been joking with everybody, talking about NBA Cup stuff. I even told David Steele and Jeff Turner this before the game, that East Group B might actually come down to, East Group B might actually come down to who beats the Brooklyn Nets by the most. And it's a joke that rang true. And again, no offense to friends with Brooklyn. Magic caught the Brooklyn Nets on a good night. And the truth of the NBA, for those who are like, why did the Magic need all this to beat the Nets? The truth of the NBA is everybody is good enough to have one good night where they can beat anybody. So credit to the Magic for finding a way, for falling behind by 16 in the second quarter and rallying to get back in the game, for defending at such a high level in the second half, giving up only 40 points and only 16 in the fourth quarter. Give credit to the Magic for making the plays they had to, for all the frustrations, for all the mistakes that they made. Orlando finished the game on an 11-0 run. They got stops and they made shots. It started with Wendell Carter kicking out to Tristan DeSilva with about 1:49 to play for a huge three, his fifth three of the game that brought the Magic within one. It continued with Franz Wagner getting the ball in transition, going to his spot on the wing and banking in a three. As Franz said after the game, sometimes you need a little luck. And then it came down to the Magic getting a stop. I believe it was on a Nick Claxton shot. But getting a stop. Setting Franz Wagner up for a one-on-one, switching him onto Nick Claxton, and burying a step-back three. Franz Wagner made only 3 threes in this game. 2 of them came at the very end. And all of a sudden, the Magic were up 5. With 30 seconds to go, they put the hammer down. They found a way to win. An 11-0 run to close the game. They were down 4 with 2.5 minutes to play. They were taking bad shots. Jalen Suggs took a bad 3. But they found a way to win the game. And I don't care who the opponent is. Finding ways to win is good. the thing that always stunned me about the 2009 and 2010 Magic, and so maybe you don't remember this, maybe you're too young to remember this. I don't know who's listening to the show. But what always differentiated those great teams in Magic history for me was how they didn't have to play their best, but they would lock in and have these amazing moments on random games and be able to win games. I'm not saying this team is that good. I'm not going to say that. They're not. They're not that good. But this characteristic matters. This characteristic of being able to gut out wins. If you're looking for any sign of growth, so we're going to start with the positive today. I'm an optimist. We're going to start with the positive. If you're looking for any sign of growth, if you're looking for a critical step, it's 2 weeks ago, if the Nets would have gone up by 16 on the Magic, they would have been frustrated. They would have been so upset with themselves, not like breaking apart or anything, but just upset with themselves that their defense would have fractured, would have cracked. They would have struggled. They would have gotten into a track meet and it looked like it was heading that way in the first half. What's different now from this team now to what they were 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago is that the Magic don't let this stuff affect them as much. They double down on their defense. They find a way. They grit and they grit their teeth and they find a way. Jamal Mosley actually made this point before the game. He was asked before the game kind of what's changed between where this team is at now and where they were 2-3 weeks ago. And Jamal Mosley put it really succinctly, and I really like the way he phrased this. At the beginning of the season, the Magic were focused on results, and they were frustrated they weren't getting results. And look, they were on a 4-game losing streak. The way that they lost to Atlanta, I made this point before. I thought the way that they lost to Atlanta in that second game was dispiriting. It was like, oh, this isn't working. We're not getting the results. They expected the results before they perfected the process. And so what Mosley says, what's happened now is that the Magic are focused on the process. They're focused on doing the right things. They're focused on their defense. They're focused on moving and sharing the ball. And if the open shot doesn't go in, they don't let that bother them. There is still a lot to clean up. Do not get me wrong. 21 assists in this game on 36 field goals, 46.2% shooting, 15 for 39 from 3, which is pretty good for the Magic. They'll take that. 3-point shooting kept them in this game, believe it or not. They made 5 more threes than Brooklyn. The Magic focused on their process. And while it was not perfect, it was not clean, and we're going to talk about that here in a minute. Because the Magic were able to defend at such a high level, Magic gave up a 106 defensive rating, I believe. Because the Magic were able to defend at such a high level, because they never let that waver. Like, there are some shaky moments here and there. They made some dumb offensive decisions. They struggled immensely with Brooklyn's press. But because the Magic never let that waver, because they never let their identity waver, they gave themselves a chance. And at the critical moments when pressure was on, they didn't crack. There are a lot, again, this is not a good win. This was a win. We'll take it. But the Magic did not play the way they need to play. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. But I think it is equally important to recognize and understand that the Magic didn't play their brand of basketball. They made so many mistakes. And look, Brooklyn is a team where you can make mistakes and win. Fact of the matter, they're 1-11 now. You can make mistakes against the Brooklyn Nets and win. And Brooklyn played a fantastic game. I don't want to take credit away from Brooklyn. Go listen to our friends at Locked On Nets. I'm sure they're disappointed in the loss. I would be too. But they played an excellent game. They were really good. And if Brooklyn plays the way that they played for the majority of this game, they're going to find some wins. They're going to catch some teams by surprise like they almost caught the Magic by surprise. But it is equally important to remember and know that this team can win and find the formula they need for that particular night, even if they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And kind of quietly, that is also the sign of a really good team. Again, I'm not sitting here celebrating this win. And we're going to make that clear in our next segment. The Magic need to be better. But I will celebrate and I will note and I will point out to you the Magic finding a way to win is a big deal too. Big shots by Franz Wagner, big plays by Desmond Bane, Wendell Carter, Jalen Suggs, Tristan De Silva. The Magic got the job done. That's all the record. Maybe not the NBA Cup, but that's all the record is going to care about. But ultimately, the Magic did not play to their standard. The things that still concern everybody about this team, we'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at Drip Drop. When I'm hydrated, everything just works better. My focus, my energy, my mood, even my skin. That's why I've been using Drip Drop. It's doctor-developed hydration that keeps me running at full power, no matter what my day looks like. Drip Drop isn't your average sports drink. It delivers 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of leading brands using a science-backed formula trusted by medical professionals, firefighters, and more than 90% of top college and pro teams. What's great about Drip Drop is that it actually tastes amazing. There's no weird aftertaste. It doesn't taste like other sports drinks. It's your secret weapon for staying sharp and energized through long days. Hydration is non-negotiable, and Drip Drop helps you feel sharper, calmer, and honestly just better overall. Right now, Drip Drop is offering podcast listeners 20% off your first order. Go to dripdrop.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA. That's dripdrop.com. Promo code LOCKEDONNBA for 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits hard. And in Florida, it always hits hard, even during cold weeks like this one. And keep your body and mind performing at their best with Drip Drop. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is also brought to you by our friends over at Wayfair. The holiday season is right around the corner, and that means it's time to get your home ready. Whether you need more seating for guests, cozy new linens, or fun serveware for holiday hosting, Wayfair's Black Friday sale is here to help you make your space shine. And the best part, you don't have to wait. Wayfair's Black Friday deals are happening all month long with up to 70% off everything from sofas to spatulas. Anything you need for the holiday season. You won't believe how fast everything ships. It'll arrive just in time for the holidays. And if you browse through their site, it's easy to find pieces that actually fit your style. Nothing generic, just quality designs that feel personal. Don't miss out on early Black Friday deals. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop Wayfair's Black Friday sale for up to 70% off. Again, that's Wayfair, WAYFAIR.com. Sale ends December 7th. We want to thank you for making Locked On Magic your first listen of the day. And thank you again for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. It's your team every day. Like I mentioned, this was not a good game. Like, I will celebrate, especially early in the season. Maybe not as much later in the season, because right now, the Magic are still figuring out who they are. And they're getting closer. They're getting better. Things are trending in the right direction. They took a step back today. They took a step back in this game. And it's better to take a step back and win than in a loss. So I will give them the credit. Wins are good. We're not going to be upset on a game day that you win. But the Magic are not playing just to win. Winning's important. Winning matters. But they are not playing just to win. They're playing to get better, to be prepared for what they hope and they believe will be a deep playoff run. So yes, the Magic had to adjust a little bit to Paolo Banchero not being in the lineup. That was very, very clear. Would Paolo have helped in this game? Absolutely. And again, I think the Magic will be fine. I think the Magic will win games without Paolo. It should be clear that the Magic are going to need Paolo Banchero. The narrative that the Magic are better without Paolo Banchero was always wrong. This year, it is statistically wrong. And I do think we will see stretches in this run coming up where it's going to be clear, no, the Magic need Paolo Banchero. And Paolo would have been immensely helpful in this game. He's not available. We don't know how long he's going to be out. You got to move on. You got to play with who you got. And what the good teams do is they don't drop off. Next man up mentality, whatever cliche you want to use. The good teams know what's expected of them and what their formula to winning is. And their formula does not change with personnel. What's expected of them, what they're supposed to do, does not change. This Magic team is a tough-nosed defensive team. Well, they were able to do that for most of the night. But the Magic know they've got to play better. That they are not playing against their opponent. They're playing against a standard, a championship-level standard that they are trying to reach. And they plainly fell short of that in this game. It was some of the bad shot selection, to be perfectly honest. Like Jalen Suggs, with about 3 minutes left, took a pull-up three-pointer. It was a bad shot. Magic were down 4, and it felt like he was trying to get it all back in one play. That's not Magic basketball. Magic basketball is defense grinding you to a pulp and working and moving the ball, hopefully, to get good looks and to take open shots, to share the ball. Even there, though, it was clear from the opening tip that the Magic just weren't as locked in as they were Wednesday against the New York Knicks. They perhaps let the jersey determine their effort. Well, that's plainly unacceptable. We expected a romp. We expected an easy win. Magic were favored by our friends on FanDuel by 14.5 points. They did not meet that mark. Not that that's the standard, but that's the kind of game we were expecting. The Magic from the jump were just sloppy. Just plain and simple. They were just sloppy. They had 7 of their 19 turnovers in the first quarter, 7 turnovers. We all remember Jamal Mosley yelling about the 17 turns for 27 points against the Celtics. The Magic finished with 19 turnovers for 21 points. Thankfully, Brooklyn could not take advantage of the Magic's mistakes. Only 11 fast break points, but 5 for 6. Orlando, 20 in the game. The Magic put themselves on the back foot. They've been saying we want to be the aggressors. They want to push first. But it's kind of hard to push first when you're giving the ball away. And in fact, even down 3 entering the fourth quarter, the Magic had 6 turnovers in the fourth quarter. 3 within the first 3 minutes of the quarter. How are you supposed to compete with anybody when you're giving possessions away? Now, some of these were physical plays, they're offensive fouls. Some of these were the Magic trying to make an extra pass and it slipping through someone's fingers, just being super imprecise. The talk of the standard that the Magic are trying to play to is, yes, a real thing. The Magic are trying to, again, elevate themselves and be a better team. But it is truly about, if we are the team we think we are, that means playing to a level of excellence every night. And again, you're not going to always hit it. You're going to falter in some ways. You're going to have to keep working at it. But turnovers have been a huge problem all season long. Turnovers have been one of the biggest issues for this team. They're in the bottom 10 in the league in turnover rate. Their offense is already questionable. And Brooklyn, again, I want to give Brooklyn all the credit in the world. They are a trapping, pressing defense. They blitz every screen. They double you. They pressure you. And the Magic did not handle the ball pressure very well at all. Brooklyn is the worst team in the league at defending the paint. And all Orlando had to do was get past that initial ball pressure, and the paint was wide open. That's how they got back in the game after they fell down by 16. Magic finished with 38 points in the paint. They were 19 for 33 in the paint. Credit to Brooklyn's defense. I want to give Brooklyn all the credit. The Magic failed to execute at a base level. They looked like they were on their back foot. And against Brooklyn, you can get away with that. Brooklyn's going to make enough mistakes. And the defense, again, forces them into some of those mistakes. But they're going to make enough mistakes and miss enough shots. And I'm sure Locked On Nets will address this. The Nets missed a lot of shots. Like, that was Magic levels of missed open threes. The Nets are going to make enough mistakes to let you back in the game, even if you're not the aggressor. Against the Knicks, the Magic punched first. They hit New York. They bothered them. They got under their skin. In this game, Brooklyn punched first. They got into Orlando. They bothered them. I wouldn't say they got under their skin. Orlando kept their composure, and I was generally impressed with that. But this is not how the Magic have to play. The Magic are the physical aggressors. They don't get pushed around. They push you around. And that's part of the standard, too. And so there were just these levels of mistakes. And the defense, while very good, had some mistakes, too, especially in the first half. There are levels of mistakes that you just cannot make if you're going to aspire to be the team the Magic aspire to be. And that's what's disappointing about this game. Like, maybe our expectations are wrong. Maybe the Magic were never going to win this game by 15 or 20 or blow this game open and take full control and take, like, the clubhouse lead in Group B. We'll get to the standings here in a minute. Maybe that was unfair. Maybe that was too lofty, especially with all the absences the Magic have. But a lot of guys just didn't play well. And certainly as a team, the Magic looked a little ruffled and just a little, again, not as intense, not as into the game. And if this is the game that has to teach the Magic to respect all their opponents and to treat every game with the same level of fire and intensity, at least they learned that in a win. At least they got that done in a win. But there's still clearly a lot of work to do. Let's run through the box scores. The Orlando Magic defeat the Brooklyn Nets 105-98. Why this game shouldn't raise as much concern as maybe it feels like, but why it very much shows that there's a long road ahead without Paolo Banchero. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by friends over at DoorDash. The NBA season is heating up, and DoorDash has found the perfect way to keep fans in their bag all season long. Whether you're watching for the highlights, your fantasy team, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes every game night even better. DoorDash is the official on-demand delivery platform of the NBA, and they're celebrating with something called the Bag Drop. Every time an NBA player scores 50 points in the game, DoorDash drops 50% off your order with Dash Pass the next day. And you're automatically entered for a chance to win the ultimate fan bag. We're talking player-inspired drip, exclusive gear, and stuff you'll actually want. I think that's what the kids say these days. DoorDash has you covered for late-night highlights, last-minute watch parties, and double overtime fill-ups. And it's not just food. It's snacks, drinks, headphones, ice, socks. I think you can even get groceries. You can get pretty much anything on DoorDash, it feels like these days. So next time someone goes off for 50, and we almost had one on Friday night, use promo code NBA50 the next day to get 50% off on DoorDash with Dash Pass. Plus, your shot at the bag drop. Dash Pass members only 50% off up to $10 a day after 50-point game with promo code terms apply. No purchase necessary. Ends April 13th. Open to U.S. residents 21 or older. Visit DoorDashInYourBag.com for full details. DoorDash in your bag all season long. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is also brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there is no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. Saturday is a big one in college football. We'll get to some Magic stuff here perhaps in a bit. My Northwestern Wildcats, 10.5-point dogs at home at Wrigley Field to Michigan. But you're not here to hear about my Northwestern Wildcats. You're here to hear about USF, number 24 in the country. Kitty corner to the Group of 5 playoff bid. 10.5-point favorites in Annapolis against Navy. Go Army, beat Navy. South Florida playing them. You can also check out the Miami 14.5 point favorites over NC State. UCF 23.5-point dogs at Texas Tech. Their biggest underdog line since the Michigan game and Scott Frost's first year. We'll see if the Knights can pull off the upset. And of course, the big one, Florida 11.5-point dogs at Vaught Hemingway against the Ole Miss Rebels. You can check out Locked On College Football, Locked On SEC, Locked On Gators, Locked On Seminoles. Florida State, I don't think, is playing this weekend. Locked On Hurricanes. You can find all those great podcasts. You can get in on the action with FanDuel, whether you're looking for football or the NBA. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Let's run through the box scores. The Orlando Magic defeat the Brooklyn Nets 105-98. Again, I want to give credit where it is due. First, as I give credit to the Orlando Magic for finding a way to win this game. They did not deserve to win this game. They played so poorly. They gave away the possessions. They took, frankly, it felt like they took their opponent lightly. And look, some of this is the Magic are kind of refiguring out roles again with Paolo Banchero out. There's new rotations to deal with. Everyone was just kind of getting a feel for what this is going to look like. And maybe they thought, oh, like Brooklyn's an easy opponent to figure this stuff out against. I want to give a ton of credit to the Brooklyn Nets. Again, I mentioned this earlier. Jamal Mosley made a point to mention this too. Brooklyn played really well. Brooklyn deserved to win this game. They played really well. Their defense was on point. It was suffocating. It was energetic. Coach Shorty Fernandez should be showing this tape to his team and saying, you all did exactly what we want you to do. Now, their defense does leave them a little exposed on the back end, but they are energetic. And for a Magic team that does not have a lot of guys that can break you down off the dribble one-on-one, especially without Paolo in there, that relies so heavily on pick and rolls, the Magic, frankly, struggled to adjust to the defense. A lot of their turnovers came from trying to make passes over the double teams and over the traps that they were facing and just getting sped up a little bit by it and not really knowing how to attack it. Again, they either got bottled up completely. They never really slipped those screens. They never really kind of gave themselves an extra outlet. The Magic just didn't really know how to fight this defense. And so I'd be curious if a lot more teams, especially while Paolo's out, try pressure defenses. And the Magic got to be ready because teams are trying more pressure defenses around the league. So again, I want to credit the Brooklyn Nets for how well they played. They deserve to win this game. Unfortunately, like, their offense isn't great. They don't have a lot of great offensive depth. Orlando's defense did come to play. Give the Magic their due on that. Give the Magic their credit on that. Another really strong defensive performance. It left the door open enough. And look, Magic fans have experienced this. So if any Nets fans are listening, so many times when you're tanking and so many times you're down at the bottom of the standings, you snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. And while I am happy to see the Magic on the other end of that, it does not make it feel good when you lose that kind of game. Because, like, again, like my philosophy with the Magic were tanking was always, if you have the chance to win, I expect you to win. The Nets did not execute down the stretch the way they needed to. Magic made some tough shots. The door was left open for the Magic. They went through it just as the Magic left the door wide open for the Nets to win. But the Nets played really, really well, and I think they do have a lot to build on from this game. But let's focus back on the Magic. It's going to be really hard for the Magic to win games when they shoot like this. And I was talking with reporters after the game in the morning, and just looking at this game, looking at this matchup, I was like, well, the Magic can only lose this game if like three things happen. One, they turn the ball over a lot. Again, 7 turnovers in the first quarter, 6 turnovers in the fourth quarter. They finished with 19 turnovers for 21 points. Just giving possessions away, giving the other team confidence in easy baskets. Could not happen. That's what happened. If the Magic settled for threes, the Nets are still give up the most points per game in the paint per game. The most points in the paint per game. They were at 59 point something before the game. They're down to 57 after this game because the Magic only got 38 points in the paint, 33 field goal attempts. Orlando took 39 threes. The Magic have been settling in the low 30s. I think that's generally where they need to be. I'd like to maybe see it bump up. I've always said 35 is probably the right number for this team. For the last several years, I've said 35 is probably the right number. 39 was way too many. Having said that, three-point shooting kept the Magic in the game. They were making their threes, but Orlando's best players really struggled to make shots. And that was the other thing. It's like, well, what happens if the Magic just don't make shots? shots, which happens with this team, believe it or not. Franz Wagner finished 25 points, 7 for 17 shooting, 3 for 9 from 3, 8 for 10 from line, 2 big misses down the stretch would have made things a little less hectic. 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 turnovers. Again, just Franz was good getting to his spots. Settled for threes a little too much at times. Again, hit 2 big ones at the end, so maybe we shouldn't complain so much. But his floater's been a little bit off. He's not as adept. He's good at drawing fouls, but he's not as adept as Paolo. He's going to find his way, and he's going to get all the attention right now. So he's going to have to remain efficient and remain kind of getting to his spots and finding ways to finish around the basket. And again, just not get frustrated if he doesn't get foul calls, which happens. Desmond Bane also struggled with his shot. 19 points, 7 for 13 shooting, 3 for 7 from 3, 5 rebounds, 2 assists for him, 3 turnovers. Desmond Bane slipped a lot in this game. It was weird. The ice isn't down right now, I don't think. The Solar Bears haven't played a game at Kia Center in a while. But Bane was slipping around a little bit. Again, just like everybody just felt like they were in over their skis and just like going a little too fast and trying to do a little too much. Just a lot of passes that went off hands, just weren't on target. We're just trying to do a little, again, just a little late, little off target, a little bit trying to do too much instead of taking a shot. Bane made some threes. Shot volume you want from him, but overall, I think not his worst game in a while. So essentially, your 2 best players do not play well, and with Paolo Banchero down, that's going to hurt you. That's one of the things. So those 2 guys kind of figuring out where their shots are going to come from, figuring out how much you take over. If that's the experiment that we ran and the Magic got away with it, so be it. Then you learn and you move forward. Jalen Suggs really struggled in this game for the third banana guy. 14 points, 5 for 11 shooting, 2 for 7 from 3. Not losing too much sleep over that. Some bad 3-point shot selection and that's some pull-ups, some heat check threes. Not great stuff there. 7 rebounds for him, 6 assists. That stuff's good. 5 turnovers. 5 turnovers. Suggs' minutes are bumping up. He had played 28-13 in this game, so that's good news on that front. But he was all over the place. Again, just like everyone felt a little frenetic. Little just too excited. And Suggs can be really up and down. Like there's days where he's calm and composed and his chaos is contained. And then there's games like this where he's just a little all over the place. He had 5 fouls, fouled a little excessively. Just throwing the ball around, just, not anything crazy, not like that crazy behind the back pass that one time, but just making mistakes and errors that this team can't make. Now, it's not all bad. The entire Magic starting lineup had a plus-minus of at least plus 11, so they won their minutes very easily. And again, 11-0 run at the end of the game with the starters in. That colors things a little bit. Excuse me, my voice is going away. Tristan da Silva entered the starting lineup for Paolo Banchero. Was Tristan da Silva. 22 points, 8 for 14 shooting, 5 for 9 from 3. 9 rebounds for him. Did have 3 turnovers as well. But again, you're getting the spacing, you're getting the shooting from Tristan da Silva. That's what the Magic need. And when the ball swung to him, he's been unafraid to shoot. He's attacked when he's needed to attack. This was another game that's just like, okay, Tristan da Silva's a guy. He's a player. The Magic can use him. Orlando, unfortunately, got nothing from their bench. Just nothing from their bench. 6 points for Goga Batadze, 8 rebounds for him, which is solid. 6 points from Jet Howard. He made 2 threes, so getting some good run there. Made some defensive mistakes here and there. Jonathan Isaac had 4 points. Anthony Black had 2 points on 1 for 4 shooting, just not super involved, probably his worst game of the year. And so again, yeah, the Magic expect a lot from their guys and expect a lot of things, but this just wasn't a good game. Like they just left a lot on the table. Turnovers, just not trusting the pass as much, just not trusting each other as much. Just the production wasn't there. And it might just be like, oh, it was just one of those nights. The wheels spun and guys, the role players just didn't play well. That happens. It's an 82-game season. You hope it doesn't happen in a game like this. You can win comfortably, but if it's going to happen, it's a game where you can make mistakes. And the Magic made mistakes. Again, their defense was really good. Brooklyn shot only 42.7% from the floor, 10 for 39 from three. Michael Porter Jr. had 24 points, but I thought Franz Wagner was in his chest all game long. He was 10 for 23, 3 for 11 from three, did have 11 rebounds, did have 7 assists, no turnovers. Magic were not good at forcing turnovers in this game. Their defense was really good, but they were not getting turnovers, only 7 for 6 points. That was a huge, like kind of difference in this game. But I really thought Franz did a good job forcing Porter from taking those like off the screen catch threes that he gets. He was in his chest, not fouling. Really, really impressed with Franz's defense. I've always loved Franz's defense, but he played it when he was matched up with Porter. Porter did nothing, which I think is a credit to Franz. The Orlando Magic shoot 46.2% from the floor, 38.5% for three, 15 for 39, 18 for 21 from the foul line. 2 of those misses belong to Franz. 7 offensive rebounds, but those led to 25 second chance points. Really nice job on the glass for the Magic. 19 turnovers for 21 points was a big factor in this game. So, the Magic get the win. They'll take it. Great run at the end of the game to save it. It's much better to win than to lose. Changes whole outlook on life. But they've got a lot of work and a lot of things to clean up before they get to Houston on Sunday. Now, let's talk NBA Cup standings. We are halfway through the Group Cup games for the Magic in the NBA Cup. They are 2-0. They are plus 20 on the point scale. They're currently sitting in the wild card spot. But they control their destiny. They're one of 4 teams that have a plus minus of plus 20 or more. The Detroit Pistons are one of the other ones. They're at plus 27, I believe. They're sitting in first place. They're sitting in first place right now. Now, Orlando controls their destiny. They still get the Pistons. They still get the Sixers. As long as their loss is not by a lot, and as long as they get another solid win over the Sixers or the Pistons, there's a very good chance they're advancing in the NBA Cup. There's a very good chance that they are going to the next round and they're taking the next step. It's a credit to the Magic that they put themselves in this position once again, but now they got to go out on the road. They got to face a Philadelphia team that's starting to come back down to earth, and a Detroit team that is right now playing the best in the entire Eastern Conference. But the Magic control their own destiny. We'll get deeper into the standings when we get to Thanksgiving and get into those games. But the Magic have done a really good job taking care of their home court in these cup games. They took care of their business. Now it's time to go out and steal some games on the road. And hopefully, I'd love to see this, hopefully host a quarterfinal game in the NBA Cup by beating the Sixers and beating the Pistons, going 4-0 and having enough win differential to host a game. We'll see what happens when we get there. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. You can find me on Twitter at @PhilipR_OMD and on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, you're tuning in, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all the places along the podcast to your podcast-enabled listening device. You can find us on YouTube as well. Just search for Locked On Magic. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us on Twitter at OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out my Patreon page, the Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. As always, thank you for your support. Now that you're done making Locked On Magic your first listen of the day, go make your second listen to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Josh Lloyd hosts the #1 fantasy basketball podcast, giving you daily tips and helping you win your league, all while making you a smarter NBA fan. Find Locked On Fantasy Basketball on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts, part of Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. That's going to do it for me today, though. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. We'll be back Sunday night, Monday morning to chat about the Magic's game against Houston Rockets. Until then, have a great weekend. Don't think too hard about this win. The Magic won. That's all that matters. Until then, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.